Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We've got another really exciting session lined up for you. This is a panel discussion, Family Councils as Changemakers. And it's really going to provide you with some of those concrete examples of how councils can make change in implementing various projects within their long-term care home. So the presenters are going to talk about what triggered the project, the reason behind it, how determine the resources needed, and how they engaged in collaboration with the home community to deliver the project. So you'll be able to get some examples of real changes that have been made. So think about, it started with them. They were able to help make change, and you'll learn some best practices as well for actually making changes into reality. So it is now my pleasure to bring back to the virtual stage Kathleen Edwards, who is going to tell you more about the session and will walk you through what to expect next. Kat, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to bring this session to you because one of the things that I'm hoping you take away from this conference is inspiration. Councils play a huge role in the long-term care ecosystem, as well as in your own long-term care home communities. And you do make a difference and you do matter. And so as you're coming together and maybe resuming your in-person meetings, or trying to figure out what you want to do now that you're able to focus on things beyond the pandemic. This session will give you some ideas about projects and initiatives, just like this conference, to give you ideas about what you can do to engage as a change maker. I'm just going to share my screen, get that set up. Alrighty, so councils as change makers. So before we get into the session itself, and I introduce you to some amazing panelists, we're going to share some really exciting initiatives and projects that they've been working on that may inspire some work that you and your council may initiate or participate in your own homes. What exactly is a change maker? A change maker is someone who takes a creative action to solve a problem. It's more than simply doing good. It's more than just simply doing something for the better of yourself. It's taking your intentions of wanting to do something for the greater good and then translating those intentions into action. So it's connecting your thoughts and your hopes and your values into specific actions through a program or an initiative. And a change maker will be connected to the community in which they want to make a change. So your insight, your perspective, your motivation to making a change will come from being part of a specific community. And that can be the place where you're living, so the geographic city or community where you're living, but it can also be within your own long-term care home. It's important to know that anyone has the power to make a difference in your long-term care home community. That includes residents, as we heard, family councils and families and friends of residents, and staff, as we're also going to hear. And your actions will be shaped by the greater good or by social issues. So issues that are happening, not just specifically to one person, but to those shared communal issues that are happening and experienced by multiple people within your home, within your community, or across your province when you're looking at sector-wide issues. Change makers will take note of those issues or problems and give themselves permission to do something about it. So rather than just sitting and complaining about something, identifying the things that are wrong and sitting in your frustration and those negative emotions. As a change maker, you are recognizing that something is wrong. It's not sitting right. It's making you feel uncomfortable. Like when you go to the beach and you get the sand in your shorts or your shoes, you get that itchy, scritchy resistance. And it's motivating you to do something, to try something. And once you do that, you recognize that it motivates you to want to continue to making that difference. And if you try something and it doesn't quite achieve those results you want, you'll say, okay, what can we do better next time? What did we learn? How can we adapt? How can we try doing something a little bit different? And it requires creativity and the courage to see things differently and the courage to be innovative. And I really want to give a shout out today to a few people who I want to acknowledge as change makers. So first of all, Family Councils Ontario is a nonprofit organization that has some amazing members on our board of directors. By being part of a board of directors for a nonprofit, they are change makers, sharing their expertise and their passion about wanting to do something to benefit the long-term care sector, but also something to benefit family experiences when it comes to long-term care needs to be acknowledged. So I want to thank all of the members of our board for being change makers. I also want to acknowledge the members of two of our committees at Family Councils Ontario, who again are change makers by sharing their experience and their insight and helping to guide the work that we do as an organization. So I'd like to say thank you to the members of our RDAC, or Resource Development Advisory Committee, as well as the members of our DIRAC committee, whom you heard speak yesterday. And I'd also like to give a big shout out to a change maker who's one of the first change makers I got to meet and got to know throughout my time at FCO during the early days of the pandemic, Julian Morelli, who took what he saw as an issue and a concern at the time, which was a shortage of PPE, and did something about it, used his connections and used his network to see what he could do to secure PPE for long-term care homes in his community to make sure that the staff could continue to feel safe and comfortable going into their homes and doing the work that they needed to do during the early days of the pandemic. So change makers have always been a part of family councils, and they will continue to be a huge part of family councils. And it's my pleasure today to introduce a few panelists who are going to provide some insight on different programs and initiatives that might be ways that you yourselves as councils or you in your home can engage as a change maker. So the first organization and first speaker we're going to call to the front is I'm going to introduce Tina Gray, and she's going to share a little bit about the family transition program at her long-term care home. And I'm very excited for you to learn a little bit about this program, this initiative, and how it can make a difference if implemented in your own long-term care home community. So welcome, Tina, and I'm going to pass the floor to you.
Thank you, Kathleen. I'm really excited to be here and part of this panel. I'm going to try and share my screen here. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. So change makers, you're right. There's a lot of people out there doing a lot of great things these days. And our program, I'm pretty passionate about it. It's called the Family Transition Program. It's within Oxford County and hosted at Whittingford Lodge in Woodstock. So the Family Transition Program, we started it in 2018. And of course, that was before COVID came. The journey began with one participant that quickly expanded to over 100 participants and their families coming into Whittingford Lodge from all over Oxford County. At this time, some participants were able to take advantage of Woodingford Lodge's respite beds, which enabled us to really get to know them. Most participants and their families enjoyed programming, special events, even dinners, cafe visits, and of course, our special caregiver support group. So our caregiver support group was special for many families. It enabled caregivers to bring their loved one for programming, and while they were busy enjoying the social time, the caregiver was able to take a part in the peer-supported caregiver group. The group was made up of caregivers that were part of family transition program and caregivers of those also residing in Woodingford Lodge. The diverse group of caregivers supported each other with examples of their struggles and successes along the way and in long-term care. Now, as COVID hit, these caregivers continued to reach out to each other and provide support outside of Woodingford Lodge. And that was a wonderful thing to hear about, that they carried on supporting each other. As quickly as it began, it was stopped, and we needed to reinvent the supports that had become so important to those we were supporting. Supports for those families in the community changed drastically in 2020, as everyone isolated themselves in their homes, scared to venture out even for groceries. Many families were scared to have support workers in their home in case the COVID virus found its way into their lives. Respite accommodations and day programs ceased to exist, and all we could do to support these folks was to reach out to them on the phone or by email and try to support with listening and updating them of any supports as they became available. We had to change. Admissions to Woodingford Lodge had changed, and the families were no longer able to accompany their family members into the home. Sadly, these people were dropped off, isolated for 14 days in a strange home without anyone familiar. The only admissions that felt somewhat positive were those that we had supported prior to COVID by our family transition program. This was the beginning of the admission changes to better support our new residents and their families. The transition to Woodingford Lodge has become a supportive model of care, emphasizing the importance of celebrating the resident moving in and the family that support them and know them best. The admission process is consistent. It begins as soon as someone accepts a bed offer in our home. We recognize that family are just as important and valued as a new resident and should be a part of that journey. So currently, we support approximately 50 participants and their families with in-person visits to our home to enjoy a long-term care setting with integrated programming, as well as personalized supportive programming, including a snoozling multisensory therapy, music therapy, reminiscence therapy, and individualized activities for each participant. This time enables the caregiver to bring their loved one to Woodingford Lodge and see that it is possible for them to thrive and enjoy themselves while being supported by long-term care home staff and socially with long-term care home residents. So an overview of our program, it was designed for individuals 18 and over, waiting or anticipating a long-term care placement. So supports for the individual and their family, we used a supportive and transitional model to help the individual adjust to long-term care before moving in. Caregiver support sessions and support from the multidisciplinary team, and having one chart that would follow them to whatever long-term care home they ended up moving into. Its aims were to reduce stress, depression, and responsive behaviors associated with adjustment to a new environment. It would reduce emergent needs and provide supports of community partners, ensuring client information is shared amongst the entire care team. The goals, of course, were to reduce that hospital strain, reduce the strain on ambulance services, better support our residents and families, helping them with navigation support, information to supporting admitting them into long-term care, and to also hope that they would stay home supported better before their need to move into long-term care and prevent those crisis placements. And it would also support their mental health, psychosocial and mental health needs during the wait time for long-term care. It would support adjustment, allowing individuals to acclimate to long-term care prior to moving in, to prevent behaviors, hospital transfers, and additional prescriptions, along with physician calls, and transforming the admission process and support the volume of individuals and their families requiring placement. This program is very unique. It's the first of its initiative. The goal to expand home visits to help individuals stay at home, offering personal care. So the sky's the limit with our vision on what we see this program doing within our home and with other homes, other than cost saving. So our future goals, we want to continue to support those in their journey to long-term care, coordinating with community supports, caregivers, and their families. The vision of the team is endless, as I said. We're hoping to see similar supports across the province for all those waiting for long-term care in all long-term care homes. The continuation to be innovative and collaborative in the supports of long-term care families and enhance the program we currently have into more of a day program, providing respite time to caregivers in the community and supporting those in their homes to remain there for as long as possible while awaiting long-term care. So we'd also like to thank all of our community partners. They've made it possible to work together to help families together, to help navigate a tricky system on the way into long-term care. And we wouldn't be able to do it without them. And like I said, the families are so important in this program. There's supports as people are out in the community, and a lot of the time once someone moves into long-term care, those supports are no longer there for the families. So it makes it hard for them. And we think those supports should continue not only before, but after someone moves into long-term care. And the family needs that support as well as the person moving in.
Thank you so much, Tina. And I've just asked if anyone has any questions for you to type them in the chat. While they're waiting to do that, I do have a question for you.
Sure.
So your home is not part of a big chain. So how does that kind of influence the process of creating a transition program? Was it a challenging process? Were there specific resources that you needed to think about? What were some of the bumps in the road when you got the program implemented?
So there was definitely bumps in the road. When we started in 2018, we applied for a grant. So a grant started the process. Unfortunately, it only lasted a year. And after that, we had started something that was fantastic and we were passionate about and had no funding for. So it became a passion project, above and beyond kind of what we were already doing. And like I said, then we had COVID. So the doors got shut and we changed things up. And so for our admission process, that is now, we've taken the model of care from our family transition program and we've embedded it into our admission process. So our admissions, as long as we have ample notice, we meet those people prior to them coming into the home and we're there day one with them and we support them as they settle in and stabilize within the home.
That's amazing to hear. Mm-hmm. And so is the family transition program going to expand to other homes in the county or in the region, or has there been interest from other municipally owned homes to come and learn a little bit about your transition program?
So at this point, not so much. It's been through our behavioral supports. So our admissions are supported by our behavioral support team. And so with the network of behavioral supports, we've been able to spread our transition ways that we're doing things. And I would hope that some of the ideas, even if they're small ones, can be started in other homes, but to really expand it out there, it's a matter of getting that out there for people to understand what we do and how we do it. But yeah, you're right, Kathleen, it would be wonderful to have this in every long-term care home, as they're coming in.
Absolutely. So I have seen a question pop up. Someone was asking, so when they come to visit the home, do they stay for the half day, full day, for lunch?
So our families, it's very flexible and it's very based on their needs, and the caregiver needs to remain with them. So we did have some caregivers that questioned that and were like, what? We have to stay? I thought this was my time away. And it is their time away to a certain point, but they're also there to watch the person that they didn't think would fit in or wouldn't be doing programming. So when they start seeing that, it's quite amazing. And that's the support for the family. And it's very flexible, like I said. So we base it on our recreation programs. And they can just come in for a coffee.
That's awesome that you have the flexibility based on what would be the best transition, not just for the caregiver or the family coming in, but also for the resident. Because for some, a coffee is enough. And that's like a good experience for them before they're transitioning in. Whereas for others, they might want to stay for lunch and socialize and build those friendships. Someone was asking, when it comes to move in, are they able to set rooms up before admission day?
So yes, we really promote that, having their room set up, having their life story, their backgrounds. We're working in a direction where we'd like them to even be able to do their paperwork prior to that move-in day. So when they're moving in, it's just all about the needs of the family and the person moving in, instead of that 3-4 hours of what it might take to do the paperwork and separating the caregiver from the person moving in.
They asked also, do you have any buy-in from home and community care support services? I'm guessing that's what HCCSS stands for.
So it's taken some time, but they're seeing the benefits of the families being able to come in and enjoy long-term care and not be scared of it. So some of our people that we support are not on long-term care lists yet. And this enables them to feel confident to get themselves on a long-term care list. It takes away some of that fear or stress that's involved in even those thoughts, and we help navigate those conversations. We work with their care coordinators if they like as well. So, things that we find that are out there in the community, it's very supportive. And there's only 2 people that they're talking to in our program. So they don't have to repeat their stories over and over again. They get either myself or my colleague Melissa on the line. So we know them, and
that's amazing to hear that you've streamlined the process. So it's consistent people they're talking to, building that trusting relationship with you and that collaboration with you as staff, even before they're coming into the home. And really just getting to kind of test the waters before they come in to see if they weren't too sure if they're making the right decision or if this is the right place, to really know if it is or if it's not the right place for their person.
Exactly. And home and community care, they've been really good. So we've had people that are in the hospital that we know are coming into our home specifically. So that communication back and forth, we've been able to go over and meet them and introduce ourselves and, get some of that important background information on who they are before they even move into the building. And again, it's that face. So they've seen my face outside of the building. And when they come, I'm that one greeting them, or Melissa is. So it's that common person. And you're right, you build that trust.
I'm wondering, so I remember, because I was the frontline staff that would deal with the transition process and being overwhelmed because I'd have to deal with that on top of programming. Have you noticed with the transition program a decrease or an impact in the stress for staff during the move-in process?
Yes, absolutely. Our staff love it. So what we do in the process is take some of that background information, their family information, and a picture of them. So whatever home area or neighborhood that they're going to be moving into, we post it for the staff as soon as we have it done. So it's a good couple days, sometimes a bit longer, but they get a write-up and they get a picture of the person moving in. So they can greet them by seeing them. They can call them by name. They know who they're going to be coming in with. And it's that welcoming.
That's amazing. There's a question, and I forget if it was yourself or if it was Melissa who's affiliated with BSO, but how does having BSO involved in the transition process and move-in process help support residents?
So it's very supportive for anyone that might have those different expressions or a risk factor of coming in and maybe not responding in a positive way to coming into a new environment, that change in routine. So with those residents, it's so important to have our behavioral supports team involved. And then with the other, like the transitional piece where we're not worried about those type of things, but just having them settle in. We have our social service worker. She's part of our behavioral supports team and she supports as well. So it's just a very big team of people that are there for supports. And we're lucky enough in our home that behavioral supports is well recognized as a supportive role. So we have full-time members and 2 RPNs and a PSW and a social service worker. And it just makes it really a great support system for that family and person moving in.
That's amazing to hear. So there's a question about what's the optimal model for the transition program? Like how many days from when you have someone kind of come in and, visit the home to the process where they are accepted for being admitted to the home and then when they move in? So what's the timeline? How did you kind of come up with the process?
So that one's it's a funny answer in a sense. So some of our people that we've supported are still on our list from before COVID. So we have people that we're supporting. So that would be a good almost 4 years. And luckily enough, we have a respite bed that's opened up. So a couple of those families have been coming in for respite. So it can go on for years, I guess, until they get placed into a long-term care home. Or the ones that are coming into our home, those ones, as soon as we find out that they've accepted the bed, we start our process. So our admission staff, like she's very quick to let us know when someone's accepted the bed. We start our system move and start making phone calls and reaching out and doing the most we can for that family and person moving in.
That's good to hear. And I do want to acknowledge, how I found out about the family transition program, I went to the Advantage Ontario conference and the family transition program was recognized for an award and Tina is part of that team.
Yeah.
And they are an amazing team and their teamwork, because these conferences, they're also social events for staff just to, have a little bit of fun and relax, especially after the last few years they've had. And I will say the spirit of Tina's team, you can tell that they really enjoy what they're doing. Mm-hmm. We had a banquet and it was an 80s banquet and they dressed up. And, I think that even that spirit of, bringing joy to what they do, you can really tell that they enjoy working together. Mm-hmm. And just congratulations on, being recognized for your innovation and as an organization, as staff in your home, deciding to make a change when it comes to families' experience and residents' experience of joining and moving into a long-term care home community. We think about, my daughter started kindergarten and you think about like how you support kids and families coming into, JK, SK, and there's a lot of supports, but, you need that support during any transition you have in your life. And it's really exciting to see that there's some really good things happening in your home. I'm hoping you get a lot of, interest, and I'm hoping you get some researchers interested in capturing some of the qualitative and quantitative data that's probably coming from this exciting project. Yeah, and thank you so much for taking the time. I'm sure you're quite busy to speak with us and share a little bit about the transition program.
Oh, I love the opportunity. So thank you, Kathleen.
And I'm seeing some hearts pop up as well. So I let you go backstage, and I will bring Helen and Anita to the front of the stage. So we're going from the staff perspective and looking at like how staff can be change makers by implementing some type of initiative or project in their home, to looking at families as change makers and family councils as change makers. And I'm very excited to welcome two co-chairs from my family council, Helen and Anita. And how I found out about some of the work they're doing is they posted a story in the newspaper, in their local newspaper, just to recognize the work they're doing for Mother's Day. And so that kind of was like, wow, that's very innovative. That's, thinking outside the box in the sense of not just within your home, recognizing that the work you're doing as a council, but also in your community, kind of recognizing what you're doing and letting other people know that this is a part of what it's like to be living in long-term care. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Anita and Helen.
Thank you. I'm just opening the slideshow here. So I'm hoping everyone can see that. Okay, so thank you, Kathleen, for the opportunity to speak at this conference to share some of the projects that we've implemented in our home, including the challenges we face. We'd like to introduce ourselves as Family Council co-chairs. Like Kathleen said, my name is Hélène.
And mine is Anita. By way of background, our home is 128 beds, 4 neighborhoods, and opened in 2010. It's located in Northern Ontario. Our home is a not-for-profit, and it's not affiliated with the municipality. Like many homes during the pandemic, staff was ever-changing. In addition to care teams, there were significant changes at the management level, with a new CEO, a new administrator, a new assistant director of care, new food services manager, new social worker, to name a few, who were installed during 2022. And just this past week, we have a new director of care. The outgoing management team had been long-serving. And in addition, in the last year, we've had 3 family council assistants, causing us to assume essentially all of our administrative functions.
As a family council, back in January 2022, we faced our own challenges. Within a year, we had the resignation of 3 family council chairpersons. At that point, all meetings had been postponed, and no one wanted to take over the leadership of the group. And in consideration with our own personal situations, we felt someone handicapped because neither Anita and I lived near the home. Anita's about 5 hours away by car, and I'm about 7. So we knew this would be a challenge, being unable to interact efficiently with staff, management, families, and to personally observe the operations of the home. With the pandemic and our situation, we were therefore very concerned about communication and the ability to be effective. Historically, there had been no communication by family council to families, and we felt this should be addressed. So in order to be effective, we believed it was important to strengthen the role of family council and make it impactful. So this meant we needed more family participation.
With all these obstacles, when making our decision to assume leadership, we started by examining the purpose of family council, as was published in the Home's Resident Handbook. We operate our meetings with PowerPoint slides, and this slide is included at every meeting to remind our families of our purpose. We also spent time educating ourselves in terms of the Fixing the Long-Term Care Act, making families aware of the act. We felt encouraged that, as we understood it, the act was empowering families to be active participants. We then agreed to partner as co-chairs to assume leadership.
So early in our term, we established goals, which we've highlighted here. The focus of our discussion today is really on how we rebuilt our family council.
We will explain the initiatives we undertook. Keep in mind that this continues to be a work in progress.
So let's start with recruitment. The first communication we initiated was the preparation of a one-page information circular that explained the purpose of Family Council with an invitation to join our group. So we collaborated with the home. We had this document mailed out to families. In addition, we had copies at the door for pickup, had families hand out this document, and we posted it in strategic spots around the home. So that was the first thing we did. Then we started putting up monthly posters to advertise our upcoming meetings, including guest speaker information. Then we developed a welcome package that's mailed out to the family of a new resident about a month after they're admitted, because we thought that during the admission process, the families are very overwhelmed, and we thought maybe them receiving this a month later, it would be better received. So this package includes the dates of our meetings for the entire year, a letter of invitation highlighting the advantages. What are the advantages of them joining our family council? We had our contact information, as well as making families aware of of resident council, just so we would make them aware of that. We do rely on the home to send the welcome packages out due to privacy issues. And as a bilingual facility, we have our documents, including our minutes, provided in both French and English. And under previous management, family council members were not able to remain on family council if their resident had passed away. So we challenged this. We did our research. We created a terms of reference document that addressed the membership. So in an effort to make prior families aware of this, we actually hosted a virtual Christmas party complete with games and prizes. And we invited those prior members to attend this party, and some did. It was a very nice get together.
An initiative that we're proud of is our 2022 Year in Review newsletter that, again, with the cooperation of the home, was mailed out to all families in both English and French. You can see that it's a pictorial summary of the 2022 accomplishments and changes. And again, in the center is an invitation to families to participate on Family Council. We want to take a few minutes to kind of see some of the initiatives that were going on.
So we focused on the communication piece, the resident advocacy, the education, as well as the organization. We think that the structure of 2 co-chairs has worked very well. We collaborate, Anita and I collaborate on everything. We've made many improvements in terms of documentation and meeting efficiency. One thing we've really used well is the technology. So we have one email account dedicated to Family Council, and with the magic of Google, we have a drive where we store all of our documents electronically, and we use Google Meet to organize our own co-chair meetings. And this allows us to collaborate on documents and presentations at the same time. Wonderful tool. And we also used another tool, which is creating surveys for Family Council members to gain their input on matters. And one of our initiatives that we'd like to highlight is the implementation of Zoom chats.
So what's a Zoom chat? It's an informal gathering of any family who is interested to bring forward topics of concern, their observations, or ask questions. Members are able to speak freely in a less structured environment. It provides us with very good information when we're developing our family council meeting agenda or other topics that we feel should be brought forward to the administrator in anticipation of her attendance at that regular family council meeting. The benefit is clear to us. It's made our meetings more efficient and reduces the amount of time spent in the meetings complaining.
We realized that awareness of family council was key to our strength and our success. Here are some of the ways that we've increased our visibility with residents and residents and staff. So for residents, two special things that we did. Well, we did quite a few, but we'd like to highlight that this really served a dual purpose. It was bringing some joy to our residents and also making families aware of the existence of family council. So first, we prepared posters in celebration of various holidays. And a family council member even organized a New Year's Eve fireworks display for residents by involving businesses in the community. The centerpieces, cards, and resident gifts were some of our highlights during the past year. So here are a couple of examples of our creative members' handiwork.
While we've done this for most of the special holidays, here's an example of what was prepared for Thanksgiving dining rooms.
And then for Valentine's Day.
And Easter, we were fortunate that a family council member contacted a school, and the school was able to create, school children were able to create Easter cards for all the residents. And all of our centerpieces come from the dollar store purchases, and they are in fact left with the home for future use.
And for Christmas, we prepared Christmas gift bags for all residents, which local family council members distributed. And one member actually dressed up as Santa. It was very well appreciated by families and residents.
Now for staff, we purchased chocolates and we prepared appreciation posters.
We also created a Gold Star recognition program for staff members that go above and beyond. Families make a recommendation. We send a thank you card to the staff member, and management is notified of the nature of their contribution and our recognition.
Another important goal was to enhance the education of families. As co-chairs, we encourage members to participate in webinars, providing them with takeaways that we learned by attending. One of the other aspects of learning was having guest speakers, and we were pleased to include the NDP health critic, France Gelinou, who attended one of our meetings. She provided a very frank and open discussion. As our home is up for accreditation this year, being the third year, we have invited CARF to present at our next meeting, as none of our council has ever been through the process. We've also engaged with Family Councils Ontario and certainly do appreciate their insights. In addition, we've partnered with an organization of Northern Ontario Family Councils, and there's a subgroup of Family Council chairs, the 6 of the 7 community family councils, where they discuss matters of common interest and concern in which we participate on. At one of those meetings, Deborah Bakhti was an invited guest. We took the opportunity to consult with her about challenges of family councils. We engage with resident council and invite them to attend our meetings, and we share each other's meeting minutes. We've also reached out to the municipality for community engagement.
Sadly, we have lost almost half of our residents in the past year, including our own parents. The impact has been significant in the past few months. Our own membership has declined as a result. With such resident turnover, we needed to get back in recruitment mode. which, as you know, is a continuous cycle. We want to share our most recent initiative, and this is the one that Kathleen had mentioned at the beginning.
So, as was indicated, we did do a meet and greet on Mother's Day, which we held in the lobby of our home to promote awareness of family council and to encourage families to participate on council. As families entered, they were met with coffee and prepackaged cookies and pens, which we labeled with family council labels. We handed out printed material, and we were able to sign up a number of families as a result, and hopefully some will be active participants on family council going forward. As Kathleen said, we sent a write-up and our picture to the local media, who included this on their .com page. We hope to continue to use media to reach families to make them aware of our family council and also long-term care in general. The response to this article was very favorable. We intend to do something similar for Father's Day and also recognizing June as Seniors Month.
So here we are today, almost a year after assuming leadership. We've had our first in-person family council meeting on May 15th, since all of our other meetings have been on Zoom. And we took that opportunity to take a group picture. We seized the moment to have a social get-together afterwards. Of the core group that you see pictured here, out of the 6, there are 3 of us that do not live in the area. Some of our active members live in a different province and even in different time zones.
We've been really fortunate to have a group that is diverse in culture and training, but all of them bring something different to the table in terms of skills, experience, and perspectives. In discussing issues, we identify situations of concern, collaborate, and do our best to come up with creative solutions that are agreeable to the majority of the group. Our group really has been dedicated and has shown extreme perseverance through the past year. They've all taken an active role at the home and on family council, and we have acknowledged their contributions.
While we celebrate that success and many of our others, we encourage you as family councils to persevere. We see that success is like an iceberg. For each accomplishment, there are 20 challenges beneath the surface. We know the disappointments of unresponsiveness by homes, at times their lack of transparency with families. We've had our share of doubts and failures, and we have put in long hours. There were many times when we wanted to walk away. Luckily, we've found some detours around these challenges, and by working on them collaboratively, we haven't given up.
What we've taken away from our experience is learning from families, residents, and staff about operational items within the home, learning from webinars, the ministry, and other organizations about the state of healthcare, especially in this sector. We had much to learn as we started our involvement, and this was further compounded as the home struggled through the pandemic and other outbreaks. We've tested our creativity, our problem-solving skills, and learned about communication and technology during this journey. We've shared and we've developed friendships. It's been most rewarding to have several families that thank Family Council for their support on the passing of their loved one. We've highlighted some of the initiatives in the one area of our Family Council recruitment and engagement. And while we continue to work and strategize on this and other initiatives, we hope some of what we've shared is useful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hélène and Anita, merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. That was, I'm getting a little teary-eyed just hearing about your raw truth, the experience of the work that you've gone through, that, it's not all, up. There's setbacks, there's unexpected things. There's been lots of challenges, but I'm very excited to see the things that you've done, that you've connected, that you've grown your council, that you've maintained, engagement, and that you have, families who are thanking you for being there. So I'm seeing there's some questions in the chat. Where did they start? They said, thank you. It's inspiring. It should be shared with all councils. I agree. It's a very good example of it's challenging, but it can be done. And having a team. So you're a good example of having co-chairs. So it's not just one person who's kind of bearing all of the weight on their own. You're kind of having someone who gets what you're going through and kind of just to vent to.
And we both said at the beginning that since the beginning, we've said many times, we wouldn't be able to do this alone, because when Anita's up, I'm down, and vice versa. And we just kind of hold each other up. So it's been a huge challenge taking this on, but I think we've really developed into a nice partnership, a friendship, and the other members of our team, they feel that and they see it. And they've just, like, even members that were ready to step away, that had been there a long time and kept saying, it's always the same thing, nothing ever changes. That we've sort of lit that light of hope, and we're trying to do things to make a difference, one thing at a time.
I love, just one thing. So try one thing. Don't try changing everything all at once. Just start with one thing, and then from there, continue on. Someone asked a question, how are you able to do all of the things that you've done when you don't live in the same community as the long-term care home?
It's been a challenge because Anita and I are about 3 hours apart as well. So technology has really made a huge difference. And we have members on the floor, they're there going in and out. So the implementation of the Zoom chats has really helped, because we wouldn't have any information, especially after her parents passed away. Anita's mother passed away in October. My father passed away in August. So we were cut out of all communication from the home. So implementing those Zoom chats really helped, because, that would help us prepare our meetings and so on. So the technology is wonderful. And the tools that we have with Google, just amazing. And the other thing it will help us do is when we're ready to transition to a new co-chair, it will be easy, because then everything is electronic. We can just pass it on. Because when Anita and I started, we didn't even have access. We lost access to all the minutes because the co-chairs left, and there was new management in the home, and we were starting with nothing. So it's been a learning experience.
I love that you just touched on succession planning, which is going to be a curriculum cafe topic in the fall. So what do you do? Because we know that you aren't always going to be co-chairs of the council, and you may want to step back. You might move further away. You might just have other things that happen in your lives where you just can't give all the energy you have to your council, and you're ready to pass the mantle or pass the torch to someone else. But the role that having access to the digital files and the history, the organizational history, can be huge, because the staff might also change and might not have that. So you've come up with some really good, simple changes that councils can make to have a significant impact on their succession process and just continuation of that knowledge. There's a question, do you have access to residents' family member email addresses, or did you have, no, you had to go through the
resident? No.
Families, no. If they decide to sign on, we get access to.
Yeah.
But we've go ahead, Anita.
No. In terms of the actual residents, we have no information per se, but in terms of families that support the residents, if they join family council, we ask them to share even their cell phone number so we could text them if we have something we want to call the group on, something beyond just email. So we've actually have a form where they agree to share that information among the group.
Wonderful. And I will say, I know that FCO has a template of a consent to contact form. So if that's the barrier to connecting with someone, we do have a template that we're happy to share with any family council that wants to try and connect with other people, if just having access to that contact information. We have a form. I'll share it with you through email, and then you just adapt it to your home. And then you would request your staff assistant or whoever in the home is supporting your council, the administrator, if you're trying to start a council, to say, can you please share this with families? I'd like to connect with them and share information about like a meet and greet session that you're planning. So you can use your home staff to support you in trying to get that information. If you say, I've got this form, please share it with them, they should be willing to support you in doing that. I say should. If they don't, let us know, because that's where FCO can also come in and support you. Someone asked, you mentioned a survey tool. What tool do you use for your surveys?
We actually use Google. We use Google for everything. We use it for our chats. The only thing we don't use it for is our Zoom meetings, where we use Zoom and not Google Meet. But as far as the surveys, there are tools in the Google Drive. So the first thing we did was create our joint email account. So we have a Gmail for both Anita and I. So both of us can read the emails, and we sent it just from one account. And then the survey, we just use that tool. So you can use SurveyMonkey or other types, but that's the one we chose.
Thank you for sharing that. They asked, will the home allow a form in the admission package, a consent to contact? They should. If you request that, you'd need to, as a council, make that request. Have you made any requests in your home to have some type of form or information included in the admission package?
I remember when I went in when my father went in, we had the admissions meeting. I think it must have been mentioned there. There was a family council. May have been a sheet. I don't remember it. I only joined maybe months later because I didn't realize it was a family council. So when we did ask for them to include our welcome package, that we asked the home, they said that they already had enough documents to give that day. So because of that, we actually changed the way we would do it. Instead of giving it at admissions, thinking maybe a month later would be better. So we prepare the packages, we give them to the home, and they send them out. We have our assistant send it out about a month after. So that's how we do it.
Thank you. There's lots of questions about the logistics for your surveys. So what are some examples of how they would work? Would you send an email out to everyone who is an active member of the council with a link, or would you share the link during a chat in your Zoom discussions, or how have you done surveys?
By email mostly. So we are preparing one for the new members. So we have one that goes out electronically. We also have it in the welcome package. We've had some sent out to family council members, and it was through the email.
Thank you. I'm seeing Benoit mentioned, what if Family Council Ontario opens a sharing spot for documents from all family councils that exist, so you don't have to start from scratch? That's a really good idea. I do know that there's some ideas that FCO has in the works to try and support opportunities for virtual networking for family councils. And the reason we want to do that is because we know in Ontario, it's a very big province. And to get together, it takes a lot. Even now with the fires and the smoke, it feels like it's a very foggy or whiteout conditions. And so getting together in person is a challenge. Virtual is great. So we are looking into avenues to create virtual spaces for councils to be able to connect. But absolutely right now, if you did need something, send the request to myself at Family Councils Ontario. I do have some templates. And then also Sam just shared in the chat, we will post all of those materials on our website under resources. So the link is also there. Ellen and Anita, thank you so much for taking the time to share about your experience and your journey as co-chairs. There's been a lot of feedback saying this presentation needs to be shared with all councils. You've shared some really good ideas. I'm seeing lots of hearts in the chat and appreciation. And thank you so much for taking the time. Oh, would Ellen and Anita be open to have another Family Council Ontario member from another home, like join their council? Maybe.
We've kind of entertained the idea of having cross-representation with other family councils, because we were always wondering what's going on in other homes. And we thought maybe if we could have one member join a different council, we could learn from each other. So that would be interesting to see, but I'm sure we wouldn't mind having visitors now and then.
Sounds like an exchange, like a council exchange program where, you know, a council in the same community, yeah, they might attend and be invited to sit in on a meeting to learn how things are working. Or if you're in the same community, that might be the start of a regional family council network. If you want to sit in and kind of learn how each other's councils work, then maybe, you know, once you've got that relationship, you might also want to join forces and form a council network.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have resurrected the local community family council network, and that we've only had 2 meetings so far this year. But it certainly provides a lot of input, and that's one of the topics that we had discussed was cross attendance at meetings.
Wonderful. And Ellen, I know you even posted in one of the slides, you mentioned the réseau. So there is also a French language network. So if you are someone who would prefer to network with other families en français, then there is a network. And we have 2 staff at Family Councils Ontario, Leanne and Natasha, who are also bilingual, who are able to support you if you want support from Family Councils Ontario en français. Je comprends, je parle un petit peu, but it's French immersion. So I go to my franglais a lot where I'll be like, I could, if you spoke to me, I would understand what you were saying. I can follow the translations, but to say you don't use it enough. So you lose that in conversation.
Better to speak it, yes.
Yes. There's a question, does Family Council Ontario know what homes have family councils? We have, if some family councils want to post their contact information on our website, we do have a directory. We are in the process of trying to think about efficient ways to survey all of the homes in Ontario to come up with an idea and registry of which homes have councils and which homes don't. For a few reasons. For us, it helps us identify those homes where maybe we might want to do a bit of outreach to them and go in and do a presentation about what are family councils, because we know that twice a year, homes need to notify families that they have that right to form a family council. So us coming in might be a good example of supporting that and getting the excitement going, because it's not just coming from the staff, but it's coming from us. And then the other reason is just to help support those existing councils. And Sam said, we have a good idea which homes have councils, but with regular turnover, it's tough to have that 100% accurate idea. And with the new homes opening up as well, you know, it's growing, it's changing. So it's definitely something that it's on our radar to make sure that we, you know, have processes. We do have them, but again, it changes quite a bit. Yes, challenging. Well, Hélène and Anita, merci beaucoup. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your insight with us. Thank you to Tina for sharing her insight about the family transition program. And as I said, I'm really hoping that one of the things you're taking away from today and the session today is that you as councils have a huge potential for the impact you play within your long-term care home, as well as your community. And so don't be afraid to try something. Don't be afraid to be creative and be innovative and think about different ways of doing things. If you try and it doesn't work, well, then you know not to do that again. So thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to Sam, and thank you. Merci.
Thanks so much, everyone. That was a fantastic session. Kathleen, you did a wonderful job of bringing everyone together. To Tina, thank you very much. Anita and Ellen, thank you so much for sharing the work that you're doing to help families transition. So Tina speaking about the transition program, and then to Anita and Ellen for for discussing the ways that they've amazingly been able to have such a successful council, especially working with the challenges that they have. I think it's really a testament to their commitment to making those positive changes that they, from many hours away, have been able to have such a deep impact on the families and residents of their home. So wonderful. I love all the conversation that's been happening in the chat. We are going to give you another break now, but I encourage you to continue this in the lobby chat and to check out the resources and the links that we've posted in the chat. Check out our website. We have some really great resources posted there, including samples and templates that have been shared with us. So when you go to the resources, you can actually filter by different things. So toolkits, you can look for particular things on, let's say, collaboration, and come up. And so you can filter the searches there. We do have a lot of documents, lots of things posted. So the filter may be helpful for you. So once again, thanks to everyone. We're going to be taking a break. We're going to be back at 4:30 with what I assume will be a very popular and active topic. Dr. Samir Sinha will be discussing how family councils can support the implementation of national long-term care standards. The standards have been newsworthy for quite some time. And so Dr. Sinha, who was leading that work, and who was a passionate advocate for change in long-term care and family engagement in that process, is going to talk about where we are now and how families and councils can support that implementation in Ontario. So once again, you can watch that either from your lobby, or when we're ready to go live, click that pinky red join button to the right of after the information about the session. And at the end of our time together with Dr. Sinha, we'll be going into closing remarks. So it's about, I have 4:10 on my side. Let's get a nice stretch courtesy break, and we'll see you back in about 20 minutes. But until then, chat in the lobby, drop your email address, connect with others, and start thinking about your questions for Dr. Sinha. See you back in about 20 minutes.